Algo Artisans. What's up? It's Thursday, 8:30 a.m. EST, and we are live. And it's Algo Factory. We're going to jump right into it. We got some things happening today that we got to pay some pretty strong attention to. Let me refresh the screen here. Okay, good. I'm going to take a look at the data that just came out, but most importantly, at 9:20 a.m. EST, Fed Chair Powell is going to speak. So despite the news just coming out, some of the economic data that is going to push markets in a very temporary manner, most likely, we have a little bit more data, like several things happening all at once right this very moment. And again, that's going to push price around a little bit. There might be a bit of a deflation in the price action. There might be just a little bit of slowdown because Fed Chair Powell is going to speak in just under an hour, right? So once he talks, and we're not sure how long that's going to take. I don't know, usually these engagements are anything from, a few minutes to an hour. Let's see what this engagement actually is here on Forex Factory. It's pre-recorded opening remarks at the Treasury Market Conference in New York. So opening remarks could be pretty quick. And basically, we have to understand that whatever those remarks say could really have an effect on the market. And if we're trying to trade in the middle of a trade and he says something that is kind of drastically unexpected or something that is very strong, what it's going to do is push price around. It's going to make price do some pretty crazy stuff. And if we are in trades at that time, that can cause us to lose trades. It could also cause us to win trades. But what it definitely is, it makes things less predictable. Okay. So that's why I tend to wait for those kind of things to be done before I start to trade. So let's go ahead and jump right into the charts. Remember, if you have questions, go ahead and ask them. This is what this live lab is for. And this is the public live lab. Now, just so you understand, I'm not getting a ton of questions during the public live lab. I'm not getting a lot of people taking advantage of this. So I may end up stopping this after a while. As a trader, my time is extremely valuable. And if people are not taking advantage of the public live lab and referring their friends, and if I see the crowd not increasing, then I'm just going to have to say, hey, man, if you want this kind of stuff, come over to Algo Factory, and that'll be the end of it. We'll see about it. I'm not quite sure what's going to happen with it yet. In the meantime, let's get into the charts. Bitcoin showing some strength, okay? So we know, according to what I've been looking at for the last, several weeks, especially the last week or two, that Bitcoin has been showing strength, both in the algos and in the charts, right? We saw price make what might have been its deepest bottom during the August, Japanese yen scenario. I've mapped out where these lines here are just structural lines. These boxes were liquidity on the exchanges, in particular Binance, but it usually is pretty much the same across exchanges. And so, noting where these are at that time when I made this this chart here, 2-3 days ago, it looks to me like price will break above here and continue up. Now that hasn't happened yet, therefore I am not in the trade that you see on the screen, but this is what I'm expecting to see based on algorithmic data and based on what we have seen so far in the liquidity. So let's review that. Okay, this is the Kingfisher.io. I do recommend you check it out. It's a website where you can get data for free. How does one do that? We just go to the Kingfisher.io, you spin the wheels just like this, and you can get some free credits for the most basic aspect of their services, which is the liquidity chart. Now, there is far more to look at here on this utility. I do recommend a full subscription to it, and I've had quite a few of them in the past, so I do use this quite often. We have liquidity mostly sitting at about 62,000. We have kind of some smatterings of it around, but 62,000, really 61.8 to 62.1. That's the strongest spike. So I'm going to go ahead and just go from 61.8 to 62.1. Just make this little kind of thin box in here so we know it's liquidity and not anything else. Give me 1 second here to get this right. That's close enough. So price could dive down at any time to grab that. And it's going to want to do that as long as the algos and as long as the price action is bearish. So right now the price action is flat. That means that price could go up or price could go down. I do see some bullish attributes looking purely at the price action, not looking at the algos, the indicators, so on and so forth. And what you're noticing here is that price is consolidating below a very clear resistance, right? So the price action over the last week or so on Bitcoin has been sideways. You have this move up. It got rejected at about 65,000, back down to the support that it created at 52,500, running back up to this resistance at 65,000 that was created by this double top that we see on the screen here, a double top being a candlestick formation that is very, very strong for a rejection, either upside or downside, in this case, downside. And so we see price consolidating below, right? It hasn't rejected, it hasn't gone down. And in fact, the algos are rather bullish. So again, I do expect, and again, I'm not going to anticipate the breakout. I will wait for the breakout, but I do expect to see a trade that looks similar to what you see on the screen. We're just going to keep moving this forward as time goes on and nothing happens. Now, remember, price could easily run down, grab liquidity before it does go up. That would require some bearishness in the charts. SG, thank you for saying hello to us and for being here. Appreciate the fanfare. So if this, look, if I were just to take a look at the charts and guess what's going to happen, I think it's getting ready to break out. But the reality is that price is in a lower time frame, kind of a swing trade time frame consolidation. So the range traders are probably looking at simply entering shorts like right now, because it's at the top of a higher time frame range, which is a very clear range here now. We got two touches. It's a pretty clear range. You have some price action supporting a rejection downside right now. The only thing that's not supporting a rejection downside right now is going to be the algos. This is a great time to short. Am I going to short? I am not. I trade in the direction of the algos, but I don't trade against resistance, which is what we see right here. So I'm waiting for the proper opportunity here, right? And let's go ahead and code this a different color so as not to be confused. This is just price action consolidation data right here. And it's not liquidity, which I'm going to code in a yellow box. And I probably should do the same for these so we don't get confused for our notation. These are support and resistance lines. All right, so I would be looking for the breakout to go long, as you see right here. Now, if the algos flip bearish, of course, we can take a look at some short trades, but I'm just not seeing it right now, okay? So let's take a brief look at the algos. We do see price on the daily chart, really the 18-hour chart, flipping bullish right here, right? The price, I mean to say, we see the algos flipping bullish with the indicators that we have on the screen. If we look at the weekly is actually rather bullish, right? The higher time frame is bullish. The lower time frames are bullish. Everything is saying bullish. I'm not comfortable shorting in this environment. I'm just not. Now, price could easily flip around, go short. If it does, if I see the market structure and the algorithms line up for a good trade, I will take it. But right now, either the algorithms have to flip bearish and price has to head down and I can short that, or price has to break out, algo stay bullish and I go long. Question. Yeah, sure. I got you, Dan. So Dan wants to see the SP 500. Happy to do it. We got about a minute or two left, and then we're going to flip over to the private live lab. Dan, are you with Algo Factory? Question mark. Let me know if you are. I don't think you are yet. And I think I know where I know you from. Look, this does literally exactly what I said it would do yesterday in yesterday's show, right? So, we are looking at the breakout. I said it would break out. It's breaking out. This is the futures market, so it's going to gap up pretty strongly on the open. And I imagine if you can get some kind of pre-market trades on the SP 500, which I tend not to trade, we'd be looking at a move up. Now, this is literally what I said would happen yesterday. Yeah, Dan, come and join us. You are one of the few on here who come in and ask questions. If we get a lot of people in the next maybe few weeks who start to populate this and really start to ask questions and participate, then I may consider continuing to have these daily reviews. But it's just at this point, these reviews are not seeing the participation to reflect the proper value. So we got to get a little more action in here. Otherwise, I'm gonna go ahead and move on. So anyhow, but we do, we love you, Dan. I appreciate it. Look, I think that we're in new territory, right? So with the SP 500, we are in, all-time highs right now. 58.30 is what the futures hit the E-mini on CME. So I'm expecting price to move up next to about 58.70. And this is what I talked about yesterday. It's literally doing what I said it would do yesterday. Okay. So, USD data, the data that did come out this morning, unemployment claims were a little lower than expected, slightly bullish for the economy. You also have some medium impact events, core durable goods, and final GDP, with the goods items being well above the estimate. The core durable goods orders actually are quite high compared to the estimate. The same with the durable goods. That might be having an effect in the market, although normally it would actually cause a bearish effect in the market. So, bad news is good news at this point in time. Things are really strange in the markets at this point, which is why, among other reasons, I don't trade the news. So I'm expecting to see, look, the most likely thing to happen, I think there's two scenarios that I'm comfortable forecasting. And then again, anything can happen, right? I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm saying anything can happen. And what I see happening here is one of two things. If there's enough bullishness, remember, Powell's going to talk. And Powell's going to speak in 40 minutes, 38 to be precise. So whatever we see on here can change extremely drastically. You need to understand that, right? So whatever I forecast here, even if Powell wasn't going to speak, could still be very different to reality. But what we do want to make sure we understand is that from a price action standpoint, pure Fibonacci, price discovery, we could see a move back down. I'm calculating to about 5,800 and then a move up to 5,870. Of course, you could have price continue to range after that, maybe until it does something. It's possible, but usually it's the SP 500. It probably wouldn't do so for long and probably go up. Or, of course, price could simply continue up, or price could reject back down, but I don't see the rejection. That's not as likely, so I'm not going to paint it onto the chart. But those are the kind of the two or three things that I think will happen. Is price is either just going to just mob up all the way to 58.70. It might grab some liquidity first. And I think a good spot for liquidity is right at 57.98 on the CME futures. I'm sure that's going to reflect a very similar price. So that's what I'm looking at right now for the most likely scenario. All right. So I hope that helps, Dan. Let me know if you have any questions. And Dan, by the way, you can get me over on like X. You can send me DMs, and I think I know where you're from. If your last name begins with an L, so just send me a DM on our other platform if you are who I think you are. Again, I do appreciate the participation, but we need people to be a little more participatory in these kind of public live labs, or I'm just going to go ahead and cancel them. So, all right. Thank you all for coming. AlgoFactory.tech. We help people become traders. Zap the QR code, top right-hand corner. Come to AlgoFactory.tech. We help people build their own trading method, otherwise known as an algorithm. Okay. So that doesn't mean you have to know how to code or use computer code or anything fancy. Anything you do is an algorithm. Okay. So it's a very kind of a scary term that shouldn't be scary at all. You want to trade like the hedge fund people. You want to trade with the same kind of edge that professionals do. Come talk to us. We'll help you get into it. And we can even put you on the path to have your trading method coded so it can trade while you're not even at the computer. AlgoFactory.tech. Don't forget.
Join us or die.